Amigos, let me give you some reasons to be hopeful, at least in the long term. I'm not very hopeful near term, unfortunately, because of the dire strait of our country right now, particularly when I look at the massive twin-created problems created by Joe Biden of runaway inflation and an open border. Things are pretty dour right now in this country. However, when I look longer term at the America First movement, I really believe that this movement of patriotic populist nationalism is very young. It is a young and growing movement. It is a movement that I believe has started to transform the Republican Party into a party for the middle class, a party that advocates for workers. Now, that transformation is by no means complete, particularly at the elected official level, but it is a transition nonetheless that I think has a lot of momentum if we continue to act with volition. So, by the way, the polling is starting to show this, and joining me now to discuss that polling is the president of the 1776 Project, Ryan Girdusky. Ryan does fantastic work on a lot of fronts, including campaigns, but he's, in my view, probably the most astute poll analyst out there. And so that's why, Ryan, I'm thrilled that you could join us tonight. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's nice of you.
You bet. So listen, looking at the new Gallup polling that is out for Joe Biden, it's on the overall picture, it's pretty bad news. He is 10 points underwater on the approve versus disapprove. Only 42% approve versus 52% disapprove. And by the way, to put that in context, he was at 20% positive, according to the Real Clear Politics polling average when he began his presidency. He enjoyed a 20% positive favorable versus unfavorable rating. He is now at 10 points negative. I have never seen a politician move that swiftly and that fiercely. But within the poll, I think the even worse news for Joe Biden, and this is what I want to ask you about, Ryan, is working class Americans versus the credentialed. If we look within this Gallup poll, we see that his approval rating is still fairly high among college grads, 54%. But among those who did not graduate college, it's only 36%. Among those who didn't go to college at all, it's only 34%. So we see this massive 20-point chasm between working class Americans and credentialed college graduates. What do you make of this divergence, Ryan?
And if we break down the college graduates, it's even actually worse, because those with just a bachelor's degree have a 47% approval. Those with a master's degree or a postgraduate degree are at 63%. Right. That's really where the divide is. And I mean, listen, it's terrible for Biden. I say three things are killing Joe Biden's presidency. The three I's. The immigration, the border is a disaster. It's not getting any better. Inflation, it is a tax on the working class. They feel it every day when they fill up their car or they pay for food. They feel the inflation tax constantly. And lastly, the infrastructure. It's supposed to be this bill to unite everybody, but it is so filled with critical pork that Republicans and independents aren't getting behind it. And this Gallup poll was bad, but you know what's even worse? The Seltzer poll. Seltzer poll is a pollster out of Iowa, probably the most accurate pollster in America. Right now, Joe Biden's approval with independents is 28%. This is a group he won by 7 points, 10 months ago or 11 months ago, and now he is down overwhelmingly among independents.
No, you're right. And that's an incredibly important point. That's something that we said on this show some time ago. I said there's going to be a two-handle on independents, and it has now arrived. And I'm really of the belief that there's essentially no floor or almost no floor for Joe Biden when it comes to his downside, because he simply does not have a base. There's really no such thing out there as incredibly fervent Biden supporters. The last two presidents both had that. Donald Trump certainly had that in spades, but so did President Obama, I have to concede. You know, he had a very committed fan base who was with him through thick and thin. That just doesn't exist for Joe Biden. So I really don't believe that there's much of a polling floor. But listen, before we get cocky or complacent, Ryan, I do want to ask you about the Republican Party, because I think you and I are on the same page, often incredibly frustrated with legacy office holders from the GOP establishment who do not want to be a party that advocates for workers. I'm talking about people like Mitch McConnell, for example. So, you know, is it incumbent upon us for the 2022 elections that those of us who really care about the long-term health of this movement, that we have to defeat not just Democrats, but we first have to defeat Republicans in the primaries?
You know, there's a political economist, a political philosopher, no, really a political analyst named David Shore, who worked for Obama, very smart guy, and he's been predicting that the Democrats, he is a Democrat, and he's predicting the Democrats are going to get walloped in 2024, especially in the Senate. So I want to ask your viewers, imagine you wake up in January of 2025 and there's not only a Republican House and a Republican Senate and a Republican president, but a Republican Senate of 60 senators, which is not impossible. It's actually really not impossible with the map in 2022 and 2024. Let's say that slim chance of happens and there is a supermajority and Republicans do whatever they want. What are they going to do? Right. What is that Republican future? If you close your eyes, you can imagine the future Bernie Sanders or AOC wants. You cannot imagine in real terms outside of esoteric, slogans like freedom, liberty, and free market, what Republicans are promising. What does that mean? I have a quick question. Donald Trump, in his last time in his administration, at the very end, sat there and made diabetes medicine free for a lot of people. He made it the way you don't have to pay a copay. Why has not a single Republican and Biden repealed that, by the way? Why hasn't a single Republican congressman jumped on that? Why, if we're talking about health care, an issue that every American, especially independents and Democrats who are willing to come to our side, care about, why aren't we talking about maybe cancer and diabetes?
Yeah, you're right. Listen, Ryan, you bring up a great point. What would we do with a supermajority? And let's make that clear to the American people. These would be my two priorities with a supermajority and a Republican in the White House: an immigration moratorium and trade protectionism. And I mean specifically massive tariffs, particularly against China. How do you feel about those two goals as an agenda for a supermajority?
Immigration moratorium is fundamental. We need it. We need it immediately. And I wouldn't say I wouldn't say the trade thing. I mean, it's important, but I would say a supply chain, bringing supply chains home. But not only just bringing supply chains home, which is so important on food. China and Brazil do all of our meat processing. Their Chinese are buying our farms. We don't have health processes. We don't make healthcare equipment in this country. We don't make military equipment in this country. Not only should we bring supply chains home, we should reindustrialize. Use that to reindustrialize the industrial Midwest. Reward the people that voted for Trump twice with jobs.
Yes.
Reward those fallen and forgotten cities with our supply chains. Use the power of government to make life better for those people. I think the Republican Party has not thought outside the box like that. So mine would be bringing supply chains home and an immigration moratorium. But I agree with you on trade, by the way. Well,
we're going to start thinking that way with young leaders like you framing the issues this way. So Ryan Girdusky, thank you so much for being here tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You bet.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.